Brian Bresee. Bresee. Say that correct. 6'5", 305-pound sophomore out of Clemson, number 11. Played in 8 games, 15 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 1 pass deflection. Now, with Brian, some of the pros with him, man, he's also a very big athletic player who has some similar positional flexibility. Emphasis on similar, not the same. Similar. I think he's very athletic, man, but I just don't think he's as athletic as Jalen Carter. I think that for him, I love him in a 4-3 as a D tackle. I think he can also play D-N on occasion. I think in a 3-4, he's a D-N in that, a 5 technique. Think like Tua, think like Cam. I think that he does have high-end potential as a D tackle full-time. But I just think it's one of those things where it might need to be less is more with him, because when I watch him, some of the things I didn't like wasn't overly productive from a statistical standpoint. And I do kind of think that he thinks he's a better athlete than he actually is. Like when I watch him at times, he tries to do things that Jalen Carter can do, because Jalen is a great, crazy athlete. I watch Bryant, and it's just he's not as athletic, and it is the difference when you're talking about one player, even though they might not get the sack or they might not get the tackle, but still having a crazy impact on the play. Brian doesn't always give me that. I also think that he has to focus a lot more on his fundamentals. He's a good player. Don't get it twisted. Still a dope player. But at the NFL level, because he's not as explosive as a Jalen Carter is right now, fundamentally, he's going to have to be a lot better with his hands, because he's not going to just have mismatches at this level from a size perspective. And I think at times he gets content with being blocked. With Jalen, you don't see a lot, and even with Kalijah, you don't see a lot of them just being blocked, and they just kind of like stall out and just kind of like, all right, you block him like it's cool. At times when I watch Brian, whether it's from a double team or when the slide protection is to him, he just kind of looks like he's kind of content with just being blocked. Like, you know what? Like, I'm here, we'll mirror, da-da-da, just got off the snap. Whereas you would want him to still fight and make them actually have to block you. I don't mind it being 2 players there, but we got moves for 2 players. We got certain pastures that you go to versus slide protection. I just want to see more of that from him. But the biggest thing for me, man, I just think that if you lock him into one spot and just say, hey, focus on this only, I think he would be a lot better player. Whereas at Clemson, I think they were trying to just move him around a little bit too much, and it kind of was like hurting him more than helping him. Kind of when I talked about DeMarvin Leal earlier this season. Before the bye week, it's like, yo, man, they moving him around a little bit too much. Just let him sit at one spot and just get comfortable there, so he's not having the little mistakes and lacking the little things in technique. So when I think of Brian, I think of like a very similar approach when I look at him.
Yeah, you put words to a lot of the things I was thinking about him. It just looks like a really high potential guy out there. Yeah. The size is uncanny, so I get why people are talking about him. But whenever I'm watching him, I'm like, dude, he's just big. Like he's making a couple plays here or there, and a lot of where you're going to be drafting him, I think, is based off where you're projecting him going forward and maybe what you can do with him as a coaching staff. Because I think he's definitely not a finished product. Now he had. Was it an injury? And like he had some stuff going on.
He was like, I thought he said he hurt his knee, then he came back.
I think his sister passed away. I don't know if he missed games, but like he has like over these last couple of years, some stuff that was going on. So I don't know how much that may have played into some of the lack of productivity we're talking about. Yeah, it's just I think big dude, high upside, because you could see the athleticism there. You're right. It's just not first overall pick worthy type of athleticism like Jalen Carter. I don't really want him for the Steelers.
I feel you. Like, when I looked at him, I'm kind of like, you give me poor man's Tuitt vibes. But I don't know if you're going to give me the productivity that Tuitt even gave me just yet.
And we already have a Leal that we're comping to Tuitt anyway.
Absolutely. Who, to me, I think plays with better effort, and I think is just a better player. More fundamentally, I think he's a better player.
Could potentially have been a better prospect coming out, but like, he weirdly fell. Yeah. He had more productivity to it.
I would agree. SEC school, like, I'm with you. To me, I like DeMarvin over him. Yeah.
And I'm with you in terms of, I don't know how you're going to rank him, but I even got Kancey over him too.